Okay. Welcome and good morning to the Writers Salon. Leslie, you didn't get a reminder? I sent it to everyone this morning at 10:30. So, did I lose my train of thought? Hi, everyone. A couple of weeks ago, we hosted our vision board writing workshop where many of you expressed that you wanted to delve a little deeper into what a short story was. So starting today and for the next 4 weeks, we're going to be writing short stories, okay? So if you're not muted, please mute yourself. If you need to share anything, please raise your hand. This workshop is being recorded for you, so when you need it, if you need to leave early or whatnot, you can always email me and I'll share the workshop with you, okay? So I am now going to share the screen. Let me know if you can see the screen, everybody. All right. So
Yes.
short story writing, week 1 begins today with the spark, ideation and conceptualization. Okay. So at its core, a short story is a brief work of fiction, usually under 20,000 words. It's a snapshot of life, a moment captured with intensity and precision. Unlike a novel, a short story has a tighter scope, focuses on a singular theme or event, and often aims to evoke a specific emotional response in the reader. This leads us to the concept of single effect. Edgar Allan Poe famously advocated for the single effect in a short story. This means that every element of the story, from the setting and characters to the dialogue and descriptions, is carefully chosen to contribute to one overall emotional impact. Imagine each word, each sentence adding a brushstroke to a painting, all combining to create a vivid, cohesive image. So let's focus on Latinx short stories that enrich this format, right? So Latinx narratives often weave intricate cultural, social, and personal themes into their stories, offering a vivid spectrum of experiences and perspectives. These stories not only entertain, but also enlighten, sharing the complexities, the joys, and the struggles of Latinx life. Here we have an excerpt from Woman Hollering Creek by Sandra Cisnero, who I just love her work. If you have never read Sandra Cisnero, please do yourself a favor and go pick up her work. I'm going to share the following excerpts to provide a snapshot into her narrative style, a thematic depth, and cultural richness of each story. So this expert of Women Hollering Creek, Cleofilas, thought her life would be like her favorite telenovelas. She would be the suffering protagonist, a silent beauty waiting patiently for a soft-voiced hero. Reality, however, did not follow the script. The creek woman hollering ran behind her house, a reminder of myths and a border between what was and what could have been. So in this excerpt, Cisnero captures the protagonist's journey and her confrontation with reality versus her expectations. And here you can notice how the setting, which is the creek, the symbol of the hollering, and the character's emotions all contribute to the single effect of resilience amidst an upheaval. Do you guys understand that? Right? So how does Cisnero use this setting and character to build the single effect? I kind of answered that question for you, but if you could come up with any other way that she did that, please share. Anyone? Carolina?
I think punctuation maybe. I don't know. Just kind of how it's all almost very quick statements. I don't know if it's because of how it's written here, but just like the flow of it as well is pretty unique and almost dark.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is kind of a little cryptic in my opinion. Okay, so In the next excerpt by Kylie Fajardo Ansting, if I remember her first name correctly, her expert is Sierra watched the Colorado sky, vast and endless. She thought of her mother, a distant memory, a ghost in her own landscape. In school, they were dissecting sugar babies, small fetal pigs, a parallel to her own dissection of past and present. She wondered if understanding would come in layers, peeled back like the skin of her sugar baby, revealing the truth too raw to touch. So here, Fajardo crafts a narrative that reflects complex themes of identity and loss. The use of the school project, the sugar babies as a metaphor, adds to the depth of the protagonist's introspection. Did we get that from this? Clear? What symbols in the excerpt contribute to the single effect of introspection at coming and age? Anyone? Don't all jump at once. Again, what symbols in the excerpt contribute to the single effect of introspection and coming of age?
Definitely sugar baby. I mean, for me.
Right. The peeling of
Um,
layers, right? Like evolving, becoming something else.
she wondered if understanding would come in layers.
Yeah, describing it in layers is pretty strong.
Right. I agree. So the last expert is oh my God, I forget this guy's first name. Um Alberto Reyes Morgan, who is the writer of Salt. In his excerpt is the border was not just a line on a map, but a scar across the heart, thought Lewis as he navigated his way through the California street. His world was a canvas painted in shades of survival and despair, each stroke a story of loss and hope. The salt from the sea mingled with the sweat on his brow, a testament to the flavor of existence at the edge of the world. Here you see his vivid imagery and character dynamics portraying the harsh reality of life at the border. The story's single effect is the portrayal of a brutal reality, yet it's infused with underlying themes of hope and resilience. How does Morgan use imagery and character dynamics to produce the single effect? Anyone want to share?
Well, for me, that
Go on. Who was speaking? Susanna, I think. Go ahead, Susanna.
okay. So for me, the first thing that captured me was the description of the border as a scar across the heart, because that was that was just such a like a deep cut type of a feeling.
Right.
So it for me, that was the line that set the emotional tone for the rest of it.
I agree. Who's next? Who was the other person who wanted to share?
It was Stacy.
Hi, Stacy.
I think what captured was salt from the sea mingled with the sweat on his brow. It's showing that it seems like he's maybe by a coastal city, but that there's some struggle there, especially with after listening and reading to the previous sentences, given that he says that he navigated his way through California streets.
Right, right. I agree. Good job, everyone. So, in these narratives, every detail, every character's action, every description works together to build a powerful, singular impact. As you reflect on these stories and the emotions they stir within you, think about how you can apply the concept of the single effect and the narrative techniques we discussed in your own storytelling. Okay, so here we're going to go into a brainstorming session where your writing starts with an idea, a concept, or a feeling. Sometimes ideas flow naturally, other times we need to coax them out. Here are some techniques to generate ideas for your short stories. So prompts. Using prompts, a single word, a question, or an image can unleash a torrent of thoughts and creativity. An example of those prompts is a forgotten letter found behind a mirror, the sound of someone laughing at an empty house. So this is the technique that you can use whenever you find yourself stuck or not knowing how to go about starting your short story. You could just look up prompts and write. And next thing you know, you find yourself completing a body of work, right? Then we have the what if scenarios. This is a technique involving taking a normal situation and asking what if. This simple question can lead to extraordinary stories. For instance, what if you woke up with a mysterious key in your hand? What if you discovered a secret door in your basement? What if a stranger walked into your house? Examples. Right? Then we have the mining of personal experiences, which is sometimes the most profound stories come from our very own experiences or of those around us. Think of a memorable moment, a turning point in your life, or a story that's been passed down in your family. Okay? So now I want you all to take some time to generate some story ideas. Take about 10 minutes to engage in one or more of the techniques that I shared. Write down any and all the ideas that come to you. Remember, there are no wrong answers. This is about letting your creativity flow. Okay, so you could use the technique of prompts, you could use the technique of what if, and you could use the technique of using personal experiences. Okay, so I am going to give you all 10 minutes time. Okay, and you can start now. Did everybody understand what the exercise is? You're brainstorming for your short story. You're gonna write down your ideas. 2 more minutes. All right. How we doing? Rosendo, you didn't see the presentation on the screen with the prompt?
Good morning, greetings. Can you hear me?
You didn't see the presentation on the screen?
No, I didn't. I came in late this morning.
Do you see the presentation now?
No, I do not see. I see you. I don't see the presentation. I see the timer, and I see you, but I don't see the presentation. No.
Do you, is Rosendo the only one who doesn't see the present? Oh, duh. You know what? I'm sorry, because I stopped sharing the screen. So, do you see the presentation now, Rosendo?
Yes, I see. Thank you.
Okay. At the bottom of the screen, if you could write down that exercise real quick so I can move along.
Okay, I'll just screenshot that right now. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that.
No, thank you. No,
I
you
could have sworn I left the presentation on. All right, everyone. Now that you've brainstormed your ideas, I want you to choose one that resonates with you the most. And we're going to shape that idea into foundation of your story. So you have two options. Craft an outline, right? So you're gonna write a brief outline of your story, include who the main characters are, what the setting is, what is the basic plot points, what is the beginning, middle, and the end. Those are the basic plot points, right? Like what's going to be happening in this story. And the second option is writing the introductory paragraph. If you feel drawn to a particular scene or a moment from your idea, start writing it, okay? Don't worry about it being perfect. Focus on capturing the essence of the scene or the emotion you want to convey, okay? Now I had this written down somewhere how long this one was going to be. Let's do 10 minutes again, okay? Is everybody clear on what the exercise is? And if you want to do both options, do the outline and write an introductory paragraph, that'll be awesome as well. Okay. So does anyone want to share what they wrote before we move on to the third part? Anyone wrote their introductory paragraph or their outline?
Yo no sé si tengo a valor. So I wrote I picked, ¿cómo que se llama? The characters. I have the plots, the beginning, middle, and
So you
ends, and
did,
I
you
guess
did
then
the,
I
you
went on
did
a
the
rant.
outline.
So
Okay. How did
I'm
that work
sorry.
out for you?
It was interesting because, you know, I'm relatively new to all of this, even the wording. I was like, I could create a story. Anyway, let me go back. So, it was interesting. It was interesting, but I feel like I was able to focus and hone in.
Okay. Yeah. So the outline is supposed to work as sort of like a guidance as you write your story so that you can stay on point and not get distracted with anything else. So that's why we usually suggest you creating an outline. And you could be as specific as you want to be on your outline. Um, who else wants to share? Anyone have a paragraph that they started?
I do.
Rosendo, you want to share your paragraph?
Oh, I think I heard somebody else. I mean, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, that's cool. Mine was I'm just trying to catch up on the first. So mine's just a paragraph, kind of like a quick paragraph. So I don't know what to call outline, but here it is. A child experiencing his first funeral in a large church building, the same church he's known all his whole life. It was a tragic scene the day of his grandfather's death to the day that they put his body in the ground. At the funeral, he hears chains, metal against metal, making its way closer from behind. As he begins to turn, towards the back, the wails from the pews grow stronger. Just as he peers to the back of the chapel, he notices his Theo Julio shackled and escorted by two correctional officers. He knew by the look of his clothing and his overall appearance that this was the wardrobe of a man of perdition. And then I kind of stopped there, but working on some more of it.
Damn.
That's from life. Yeah. So I guess.
So you use the personal experience technique.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing, Rosendo. Who's next? Susana.
Okay, so I wrote this. I lay in the swaying grass, watch cumulus clouds tell stories in their theater of blue sky. A lion's fluffy mane reaches upwards. Between its paws, a pair of cubs. The wind shifts, and so too the story. Now a cocotero, heavy with fruit, leans across the sky, arches like a rainbow, touches the ground. I am ready to get back to the highway. I am thrilled to find a Puerto Rican restaurant in the middle of Austin. I order mofongo and caldo de pollo, drop the golden balls of fried plantains into the glistening broth, watch it scatter like an archipelago, remember why I desperately need to cross the Tropic of Cancer, circumscribing the world. The waiter brings me a check, and I am checking the map. I lost the rest of it. Hold a second. Let me just pull it back up. The waiter. Oh, I'm checking the map as the waiter brings me the check and the cafecito for the road. Key West is the closest I can get to the Tropic of Cancer without leaving the US, but that is a full 24 hours of driving to reach. My skin flushes with the excitement, scanning midway towns and cities and the floods of possibilities. I feel New Orleans pull.
Oh, thank you for sharing, Susana. Gracias. That was nice. Anyone else? No one else wants to share, so we can move on to part 3 then. So part
I
3,
can.
who
I'm
would
down
like?
to share, Angie, but I
Okay,
can also I can share after part 3.
no, let's stick to right now, because part 3, we're gonna be doing something else. Go ahead, Leila.
Okay, I'm inspired by the last piece because I grew up in Homestead in Cutler Ridge, really close to the Everglades in South Florida, and now I'm in Bulbancha, also known as New Orleans. So I appreciate the yeah, just the inspiration around the archipelago. I wrote about the wetlands, um, what and used the what if a prompt. What if the earth buckled down? The wetlands surged, saturated with grief. An alligator swam across your front door. What if? Grateful, grateful she remembered to charge, or grateful you remember to charge your phone. Se fue la luz. And no water coming out the pipes. Fuck. She hadn't gone by the store to stock up on water. Got caught up in the work project. Mommy had asked her, "Did you know we have been sinking? Levees and pumps. We have completely changed the landscape. When you think of wetlands, we think of home. Did you know cypress trees can grow to be 100 feet tall?" Lo dejo ahí.
I love that. I'm excited to see the next few weeks while you all develop your stories. Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing, Leila. So, part 3, we're going to look into plotting and pacing. Okay. So, to introduction to plot and pacing is um uh, so the plot is a sequence of events, and the pacing is the speed at which the events unfolds. And for this exercise, you're going to choose the central conflict of your story. Okay, we're going to do 10 minutes, and you're going to outline a simple plot structure where you're going to write the introduction, what is the rising action, what is the climax, what is the falling action, and the resolution. Keep it concise. This is about capturing the essence of your narrative. And let me do something for you all right here to make this a little bit easier. Okay, so the central conflict is going to be the main problem or the struggle that drives your story. It's the heart of the plot, okay? The conflict can be internal, something that the character is struggling with, or it could be external, something that multiple characters or the environment or both are struggling with, okay? So when structuring your plot, the introduction is the setting of the stage for your story, right? So you're going to introduce the characters, the setting, and the initial situation. It's going to be where you establish the normal world of your characters before the central conflict begins. All right. So you're going to write about who is this character, what is their normal world. The rising action is where the tension builds and it starts developing the conflict, all right? So these could be challenges, it could be complications, it could be a twist to intensify the plot, all leading to the climax of the story, okay? The climax is the turning point of the story, often the moment of the highest tension, and drama. You see, like in novelas, when you hear the sound, do 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 do, like that's the classic. Usually that's when something climatic is about to happen, right? It's the point where the central conflict reaches its peak. The outcome of the climax can be impactful, it can be life altering, it can alter the story and the fate of the characters. Okay. Now, the falling action is a story that starts moving towards resolution. Okay. The falling action involves the aftermath of the climax, where the consequences of the climatic events unfold and the conflict begins to resolve. This part often contains a process of reflection or a response to the events of the climax. And then finally, you have what is the resolution. And this is the closure of the story. How did the story end? Were the conflicts resolved? Were there questions? Were all the questions answered? Are the character situations clarified? The resolution should leave the reader with a sense of completion, and in some cases, a reflection on the journey the story presented. Okay, so let me stop sharing. I'm still sharing here, right? Did I stop sharing?
Yes.
Okay. I am going to put those definitions on here just to offer you all some guidance as you write. Okay. Okay, so I put it all here so that you know, or so that you can all see the concepts. Okay. So as you create the conflict in your story, you have to make sure that it includes all of these, right? So let me remove this. So you have the simple plot structure, which refers to the traditional arc of a story, typically broken down into the following 5 components, all right? And those 5 are the introduction, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. Now, I do understand that now you are not all familiar with the concept of short story writing. This is new to many of you. It might be the first time that you even write a short story, okay? Challenge yourself, write about it, go line by line, and just write. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to have time to perfect it, but just put it out on paper. Can you all see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. So the prompt was, that you're going to take 10 minutes to outline a simple plot structure. Okay. So it's 10 minutes, guys, not 15. I didn't even start this thing. 1 minute. Okay, time's up. This might be the scary part, folks, but who wants to share? Just the last part of our workshop. I hope you all took this time to write. Leslie, what do you write?
Okay, I could tell you. Okay, this is what I wrote. She's old enough to know, Margaret. You should tell her. She walks in, interrupting her mother and aunt. Tell me what? They both turn around and are completely surprised that I asked a question. Tell me what, Mommy? I repeated. After being totally shocked that I appeared, now she's looking past me. It's strange, but there are times when I feel we are so alike, and at times when I feel we are so different, like I am an alien and she is human, or I am the human and she's an alien. I guess I watched too many of those Twilight shows. I used to not be allowed to watch them, but now I'm 13, and I don't know how that makes a difference. And now I'm watching them to my heart content. I turned around and Dad was there looking at her and Titi and saying so much with his eyes. Honey, to tell you that, that's it.
Thank you. So what's at stake for your character?
What's at stake? I wrote it before, but I guess what's at stake is that the character finds a letter, ends up finding a letter detailing a lot of things about her. And what's at stake is that things don't make sense, like the way her mother acts, the way her father acts, how her mother's very overprotective. And at the end, she finds out that she's not biologically related to her mother, and that she came from Honduras or something. She came from somewhere else, and she didn't know that. But it makes sense because she kind of runs into someone that looks a lot like her in a party, and it kind of unravels from there. I'm still trying to figure out what the I don't want to do it in a traditional like introduction. I want to sort of start at a climax and then work my way down. But
Nice.
there's like 5 different things that are going to happen.
Nice. Thank you. Who else wants to share? No one? Eduardo, did you write anything? Are you there? Or are you here just in spirit?
Excuse me, Angie.
Hi, Rosendo. You share?
What I had a question. That slide you showed up before this one, before the last one, you just wanted to set up the first part of that, or do all 5 of those pieces of the
So all those 5 make up what your plot is supposed to be.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so while as you're structuring your plot, you have to include the introduction. You have to include a part where the story is building tension and the conflict is developing. You have to include a climax. You have to include the falling action, where the story is moving towards a resolution. And in the end, the story should conclude with a resolution.
Okay.
Okay. All of these components should make up your short story. Got it? It's not one or the other, because then your story is going to be missing things. You're going to read and you'll be like, what was the point of that? I didn't take anything away, or I didn't really understand what was happening or whatnot. Anyone else wishes to share? Questions, comments? How do you feel with this exercise, with this workshop? Are you ready for the next 3 weeks? Because you asked for it. So now we're gonna be doing this.
So I'll share a little something about the parts that the first part I did the intro and a little bit of the conflict. The intro for me was the early 90s, Brooklyn, New York, 10-year-old boy and his large immigrant extended family life. I guess that's the normal background setting. And so the introduction setting is the funeral of his grandfather, the church he grew up in, and then the conflict is his struggles with reconciliation of death, and what would that look like for him when it's his turn. So that's just the first 2 of those 5. I didn't really.
Okay. What was the rising action where the story starts to build tension and conflict?
It's early on in the story, so if I had to pinpoint it, I would say that's when since it's a short story, that's when his uncle comes into the funeral on his inmate visit to see his father's body, the character's grandfather. Yeah, that was that.
So that's going to cause conflict?
Yes, the conflict will be the internal struggle he has with his I guess reconciliation of death, and that we all died as a child, learning that everyone will go. So that so I'm processing now as I'm speaking, but as he's seeing his uncle, and I add a little more to that, what I said as far as the paragraph I wrote, added some more to it. So, as he's seeing his uncle, the look on his uncle's face and seeing his uncle, that's something. And then being at his first funeral, and well, that was my first and last funeral, but being at that funeral, and then seeing the people there and the emotions, how his grandfather was killed, which gets develops later, but seeing his uncle is really letting him know, like, wow, this is it's kind of, I got to think about this. What's happening right now to my family, to my grandfather, to my why is this? He's wrapping his head around all of it. So I guess his uncle's presence. I mean, he's already sad, but then his uncle's presence makes him more introspective and reflect, because he looked up to his uncle a lot, who then later passed. But I don't know if that will be part of the story.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? You could share any part that you wrote. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So.
I don't mind sharing a little bit. This is more of an intro. I don't know if I actually want it to be this way, but I just started as simple as I could. La nieta finds a box after her abuela died. There was always a part of her life that she never understood. In the box, there was a letter that stuck out to her. It glimmered as a little bit of light came through the blinds. As La Nieta attempted to open the letter, in an instant, with no memory of travel, she woke up in someone else's bed, confused, surrounded by a moquitero, the sound of her abuela's voice, the smell of pollo guisado y plátano maduros. La Nieta got out of bed, saw her bisabuela in the kitchen, and her abuela, and she realized that her abuela was her age. So it's kind of like going back in time to understand a part of her grandmother's life that she could never get out of her. And so the setting would be like, it's really emotional because it's kind of, she didn't die, but it's something that I know I'm never going to get out of her. And so there's a ton of letters I have from the time that she lived in the Dominican Republic before she immigrated to New York. And so what I'm doing is building a story from what I think maybe happened or what I would see if that were the case. So it'd be probably settings early 50s, maybe late 40s. I don't know exactly yet. And I'm not sure if she's already a mom yet or not. I haven't figured that out as to how old they are, but it's one of those things we don't normally see a timeline or history books for our people, so we have to put it together with whatever little bit they save that we find without conflict. And so I think that's something that helps me also, because she's still alive, she's 92. But there's just some things that we gotta let our viejitos just be and not push them. So this for me is a way of understanding her more and letting go of what I don't understand. That makes sense.
Thank you for sharing that, Stacey. I'm looking forward to that story because your homework is going to be to flesh out your outline. If you didn't get to complete it, complete the outline, okay? And continue writing the story. All right? So next week is going to be part 2 of this workshop. It's already on the website, so you could go and sign up for that. And yeah, did I stop sharing already? I think I did. So in part 2, we're going to be crafting your characters and your setting, okay? So the session is going to be designed to deepen your understanding of character development and the integral role of setting in your short story. And you'll learn how to create multidimensional characters by exploring their background, motivations, and evolution. So if you could start working on who is your character, who makes them who they are, what is so special about your character. And I think we went over this a couple of workshops back, right? What was the name of that workshop? If I remember.
Was that the one where we voted on story ideas?
Yeah, probably that one. The collaborative short story writing.
Perhaps, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it was in that one when we spoke about characters and whatnot. Okay, is everybody clear on that? And we're good, and we'll see you next Sunday. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye, thank you.